All right, let's get right into it. I've just finished going through the latest Byer Nichols threat brief, and we need to talk about it. We're going to walk through the key intel together so you can really get a sense of what the digital battlefield looks like right now.
So, let's kick things off with the big one, the real headline grabber from this report. This isn't a what-if scenario anymore. The next evolution of malware has officially arrived. And yeah, it's powered by AI.
You know, this quote from the brief just says it all. For years, this has been the stuff of cybersecurity conferences and white papers, the big, scary thing on the horizon. Well, guess what? That horizon is here. This is no longer a future threat, it's a present danger.
And here it is, in the wild, PromptLock. Now, this isn't your average ransomware that just locks up everything it sees. No, PromptLock is smart. It uses generative AI to look through your files and, well, it thinks. It actually makes a calculated decision. Is this file better to hold for ransom, or is it more valuable to just steal outright? This is a huge leap, making attacks way more efficient and a whole lot more dangerous.
Now, AI might be the scary new thing on the block, but let's be real. The absolute dominant force on the battlefield today is still ransomware. So let's take a look at the major players and, more importantly, who they're going after.
At a quick glance, you see some familiar names up top. But the thing that should really jump out at you is that massive all others slice. It takes up almost half the pie. What that tells us is that the ransomware world isn't ruled by just a few kingpins. It is a crowded, fragmented free-for-all out there.
Okay, so this table gives us an even better look. Qilin is still holding that #1 spot. No big surprise there, but look at the shakeup right below them. You've got Play and Shinobi, two groups that have basically shot up the charts to break into the top 5. It just goes to show you how fast things can change. A group can go from being a nobody to a major threat in the blink of an eye.
So who's in the crosshairs of these groups? This number, honestly, it's jaw-dropping. Over 84%. That's not a typo. The overwhelming majority of ransomware attacks are hitting small businesses. We hear about the massive corporate breaches, but the reality is, it's the little guys who are really on the front lines of this fight.
And get this, the entire playbook for who gets targeted has been flipped on its head. For a while, other sectors were the main event, not anymore. Manufacturing has surged ahead to become the new #1 target. And it makes sense, right? Every second of downtime on a factory floor costs a fortune, which might just make them more likely to pay up and fast.
And you can see that shift happening right here in the data. Look at manufacturing and financial services just climbing the ladder. At the same time, construction and retail, who used to be the biggest targets, have dropped down. The attackers are constantly reevaluating, and they're going where the money and the pressure points are.
And where is all this happening? Well, location-wise, it's not even a contest. The United States is just overwhelmingly the main focus, getting hit with almost 60% of all attacks. The UK and Germany are a very distant second and third.
Okay, so we've talked about the what and the where. Let's peel back another layer and look at the who. It's time to put a name and a face to some of these threats, especially the really sophisticated ones. Let's break down an attack from a group called APT36. Now, APT stands for Advanced Persistent Threat, which is just a fancy way of saying these guys are patient. They're not after a quick payday, they play the long game. And their methods are surgical. They craft these very specific phishing emails aimed at Indian defense personnel, using a clever fake login page to a government site. Their goal isn't just to steal a password, it's to plant a flag and stay inside these critical networks for as long as possible.
And of course, APT36 isn't working in a vacuum. The brief also shines a light on groups like Salt Typhoon and Silk Typhoon, both thought to have ties to China, and Curly Comrades, a Russian-aligned crew. The big picture here is that these cyber operations are often just another front in real-world geopolitical conflicts. It's the new battlefield.
So how are all these different groups, from the ransomware crews to the nation-state spies, actually breaking down the door? Let's pop the hood and take a look at the tools and vulnerabilities they're putting to work.
This right here is absolutely crucial to understand. The threat is coming at us from two directions at once. On one hand, attackers are still getting a ton of mileage out of old, known vulnerabilities. We're talking about security holes from last year that just haven't been patched. But on the other hand, you've got them using brand new, never-before-seen bugs, 0 days, in things like Apple products for super targeted attacks. It means you have to defend against yesterday's problems and tomorrow's threats all at the same time.
And the malware itself is getting so specialized. You've got stuff like Plague, a super sneaky backdoor for Linux systems.
Then you have things like EDR Kill Shifter, a piece of malware whose only job is to turn off your security guards, to disable your detection software. And it's not just about your computer anymore. SparkKitty is out there targeting both iPhones and Androids, trying to steal your pictures and info. The attack surface is just getting wider and wider.
Okay, we've gone through AI malware, ransomware stats, sophisticated spy groups. I know, it's a lot to take in, right? So what does it all mean? What's the one thing you absolutely need to do in the face of all this?
You know, the brief boils everything down to this one single critical piece of advice. And this is it. This is the big takeaway. With threats now actively targeting Linux, macOS, and mobile devices, the old idea that some operating systems are just safer than others, that's over. It's a myth. The battle today is won or lost on the endpoint, plain and simple.
Which really leaves us with this one final thought to chew on. We can see that the threats are getting smarter. I mean, literally, they're starting to think. They're getting faster and more sophisticated every single day. So the real question we have to ask ourselves is, are our defenses keeping up?